What if I told you that the people who were supposed to love you most could destroy your entire life with a single phone call? That your own family could steal your identity, ruin your credit, and then have the audacity to tell you to just get over it? Well, buckle up because that's exactly what happened to me. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why sometimes cutting ties with toxic family isn't just an option. It's survival. I'm Sarah, and at 28, I thought I had my life figured out. Good job, decent credit, finally feeling like a real adult. Then my phone rang on what seemed like any other Tuesday morning. Good morning, this is David from Chase Bank. I'm calling about your auto loan payment that's due next week. The amount is $2,847 for your first installment on the $100,000 vehicle loan. My coffee cup nearly slipped from my hands. Vehicle loan? I was still driving my trusty Honda Civic from college, the one with the dent in the bumper and a radio that only worked on Wednesdays. I'm sorry, there must be some mistake, I stammered. I haven't taken out any loan. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then David cleared his throat and began rattling off my personal information. Full name, social security number, home address, everything matched perfectly. My stomach dropped to the floor. This wasn't a mistake, this was identity theft. And somehow I already knew who was behind it. See, my family had this unspoken rule. Sarah fixes everything. Sarah never complains. Sarah is the responsible one who'll handle whatever mess gets thrown her way. But this was many messes taken and way certainly provides a deft for in the screen is. I immediately called my parents, expecting them to be horrified, ready to march down to the police station with me. Instead, I got something I wasn't prepared for. "Oh, sweetie," my mom said after a long pause. "Don't blow this out of proportion. These things happen in families." These things happen in families? Someone had just committed federal fraud using my identity, and my mother was treating it like I'd found out someone ate my leftovers. My dad chimed in with his classic peacekeeper voice. "Look, what's done is done. No point in making a big fuss about it now." That's when it hit me like a freight train. They knew. They absolutely knew. With shaking hands, I dialed my sister Emma's number. She picked up on the second ring, sounding completely relaxed. "Hey sis, what's up?" "Emma," I took a deep breath. "Did you take out a car loan using my name?" The silence stretched for what felt like an eternity. Then, without even a hint of shame in her voice, she said, "Oh yeah, that. Look, you weren't using your credit for anything important, and Mom and Dad said it would be fine. You always help us out anyway." I couldn't breathe. The casual way she admitted to destroying my financial life, like she was confessing to borrowing my sweater without asking, was absolutely mind-blowing. "Emma, that's identity theft. That's a federal crime." "Oh, come on. Don't be so dramatic. It's not like I'm some stranger. We're family." Family. That word was starting to taste bitter in my mouth. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat at my kitchen table, laptop open, diving deep into credit reports and legal websites. Every notification from the bank felt like a personal attack. Every document I read about identity theft made my blood boil hotter. But what really got to me wasn't just the financial damage. It was the memories flooding back. All those times I'd been the invisible child while Emma got praised for everything. The times I worked 2 jobs to pay for college while my parents handed Emma money for shopping sprees. The countless family dinners where my achievements were brushed aside while Emma's mediocre accomplishments were celebrated like Nobel Prize wins. And now, she'd literally stolen my identity to buy herself a luxury SUV with my parents' blessing. The next morning, I drove to my parents' house, determined to get some honest answers. What I got instead was a masterclass in manipulation. "Your sister was struggling," Mom explained, pouring herself tea like we were discussing the weather. "She needed reliable transportation to find a job. She bought a $100,000 luxury SUV, Mom. That's not job hunting transportation. That's a status symbol." Dad jumped in. "You're the strong one, Sarah. You can handle this. Why would you want to ruin Emma's future over something that won't really hurt you?" Won't really hurt me. I was looking at monthly payments that would cripple my budget for the next 6 years, plus whatever damage this would do to my credit score. But the worst part? Emma was outside in the driveway, posting Instagram stories in her brand new car. I could see her through the window, laughing and taking selfies with the leather interior, using hashtags like #blessed and #living my best life. Not once, not in a single post, did she mention whose name was on that loan. That's when something inside me snapped. Not broke, snapped into place. I left their house without another word and drove straight to the law office of Margaret Chen, a lawyer who specialized in identity theft cases and had a reputation for not backing down from family drama. "Here's what we're going to do," Margaret said after hearing my story. "We're not just fighting for your money, we're fighting for your dignity." The legal papers were served to Emma while she was coming out of a nail salon, probably paid for with credit she'd built on my name. According to the process server, she went pale as a ghost and immediately started making frantic phone calls. My phone started ringing within the hour. "How could you sue your own sister?" Emma was crying hysterically. "You're destroying our family." "I didn't destroy anything, Emma. You did that when you decided to commit fraud." "But we're blood. Family is supposed to stick together. Family is also supposed to respect each other and not steal from each other. But here we are." Then came the parental guilt trip. First, they tried reasoning with me. "Let's all sit down and work this out like adults," Dad suggested. "There's no need to involve lawyers and courts." When that didn't work, they moved to emotional manipulation. "This is tearing our family apart," Mom sobbed into the phone. "How can you do this to your own sister? What will people think when they find out you're taking Emma to court?" And finally, when nothing else worked, came the threats. "If you go through with this lawsuit," Dad said, his voice ice cold, "you're no longer our daughter. Don't expect to be welcomed at family gatherings anymore." You know what? That threat actually made me laugh out loud. They were cutting me off from a family that had already cut me off years ago. I just hadn't realized it yet. The day of the court hearing arrived, and I walked into that courtroom with my head held high for the first time in years. Emma sat across the aisle with our parents flanking her like bodyguards, all of them shooting daggers at me with their eyes. Margaret had done her homework. She presented forged signatures, fake employment documents, and even security footage from the dealership showing Emma signing papers while pretending to be me. The evidence was so overwhelming that Emma's lawyer looked like he wanted to crawl under the table. But the moment that really made the courtroom gasp came when Margaret read a text message aloud, one my mother had sent to Emma just days after the fraud was discovered. "Don't worry about Sarah. She'll be upset for a while, but she always gets over it. She's used to cleaning up messes." Even the judge looked disgusted. Emma was found guilty of identity theft and fraud. She was ordered to pay damages, and her credit was destroyed. But honestly, the real justice wasn't the legal victory. It was watching the illusion finally shatter. The illusion that she was untouchable, that I would always be their doormat, that family meant I had to sacrifice my well-being for their convenience. Outside the courthouse, my parents made one last desperate attempt. "Please don't let this destroy our family," Mom begged, tears streaming down her face. "We made mistakes, but we're still family." I looked at her, really looked at her, and said, "You destroyed this family the moment you decided my feelings didn't matter. I'm just finally admitting it out loud." The months that followed were eerily peaceful. No more surprise bills showing up in my mailbox. No more collectors calling to verify debts I didn't create. No more forced family dinners where I was expected to smile and pretend everything was fine while being treated like a second-class citizen. With the settlement money, I started my own financial consulting business. I called it Clean Slate Financial because that's exactly what I'd given myself. A clean slate. Emma tried reaching out a few times. Text messages like, "I never meant for things to go this far," and "They repossessed the car and now I have nowhere to turn." I didn't respond. She was finally experiencing consequences for her actions, and I wasn't going to rescue her from them. My parents went into damage control mode with their social circle. It's amazing how quickly word spreads in a small community when someone's golden child ends up in court for stealing from her own sister. Their dinner party invitations dried up. Their church friends started keeping their distance. The perfect family image they'd worked so hard to maintain crumbled faster than a house of cards. Mom even tried posting photos on social media with captions like, "Family bonds can overcome anything." But the comments sections remained empty. Everyone knew the truth now. About 4 months after the trial, Mom showed up at my office unannounced. She walked in carrying a tin of homemade cookies like she was trying to recreate some Hallmark movie reconciliation scene. "You've built something really nice here," she said, looking around my office. I didn't offer her a chair. "I'm not here to fight," she continued. "Your father and I, we know we didn't handle things properly." I waited for the apology. Instead, I got another request. Emma's in a really bad place right now. No job, no car. We've had to refinance the house. We were hoping maybe you could help her get back on her feet. There it was. Even after everything, the betrayal, the lawsuit, the public humiliation, they still expected me to be their family's personal ATM and cleanup crew. I reached into my desk drawer and pulled out an envelope. Inside was a notarized document removing them as emergency contacts, financial proxies, and beneficiaries from every aspect of my life. "What is this?" Mom asked, her hands shaking as she read. "Boundaries," I replied. "The thing you never taught me to have. I'm teaching them to myself." She started crying then. Real tears, not the manipulative kind she'd used during my childhood to get me to apologize for things that weren't my fault. "You're cutting us off completely?" "No, Mom. I'm protecting myself. You cut me off emotionally years ago and just expected me to keep showing up anyway. I'm finally returning the favor." She left without another word. That night, I sat on my apartment balcony, looking out at the city lights, and I thought about the little girl I used to be, the one who was told that keeping the peace was more important than standing up for herself, the one who was taught that family meant sacrifice, even when that sacrifice was one-sided. And I whispered to that little girl, "We made it. We're finally free." Because here's the thing, this story isn't really about revenge. It's about reclaiming your life from people who never valued it in the first place. It's about learning that blood relation doesn't give someone a free pass to abuse you. It's about discovering that sometimes the most loving thing you can do for yourself is to walk away from people who only love you when you're useful to them. I didn't just win a court case. I won my life back. I won my peace back. I won my voice back. And that, my friends, is worth more than any family dinner invitation could ever be. If this story resonated with you, or if you've dealt with toxic family situations yourself, drop a comment below and let me know how you handled it. Sometimes knowing we're not alone in these struggles makes all the difference. And hey, if you found this story helpful or eye-opening, smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories about setting boundaries and taking control of your life. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.